everybody. This is Dr. Duncan with Mahogany Thoughts. We are back again for our fourth season after a very long hiatus. And I am joined today by the legendary Queen, Carmel Brown. How you do, Queen?
Hello, everyone.
And she's back in the house. And then we also have a regular contributor and part of the team, the notorious DMG, Devon Moody-Graham. How are you doing?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. The notorious DMG, that nickname's going to stick with you at some particular point in time. And the reason why I say that is because I'll be walking around the store and then somebody's like, oh yeah, Mahogany Thoughts. Yeah, man, I like the show and this and that. So man, the queen with the chair, and I was like, dang, I didn't even know y'all paid attention like that. But so the notorious DMG. So if you ever walk down the street and you go into the store, whatever the case may be, and then they say notorious, I got the rights. Yeah, I got the naming rights. So Butler, he'll be on a Zoom call a little bit later. So we're going to record live. I just wanted to get back into the swing of things. It's been a while since we have done a podcast, and it's always a pleasure to be able to interact with the audience. I know that it's been a very busy year for all of us post-pandemic. Everybody's been getting back into the swing of things. Children are going back to school, dealing with craziness and everything that's still going on in the world. But by the end of the day, just being able to hear, different people just saying, hey, I really like the podcast, not just from the area, but even beyond, was more of a sign to be able to get back into podcasting. So looking forward to sharing our thoughts and our viewpoints in a way that helps uplift Black culture and Black families, as well as promote healthy relationships and healthy homes. And so with that, it's been about 7-8 months. So I guess we can start off with you, Devon. What has been going on in your world for the past 7 months? We're going to talk about ourselves real quick. So Devon, go ahead and go for it.
Oh, wow. So much. A lot has been going on. I've really gained a lot of clarity on a lot of things that I don't want to do anymore. That's been the biggest thing for me. I have loved gaining that clarity. People say as you get older, of course, you get wiser. And well, that's the goal, right? Most of us get wiser. And also within that, I like to really enjoy what I do like on a daily basis. And I get to choose that. And so it's starting with, of course, more rest. Do you know that I took 2 weekends off, like this past weekend and the last weekend off?
Oh,
like that. I haven't had 2 weekends off since like I was about 15 or something.
oh, wow.
Like before I started working. And so that was great. And my 3-year-old runs my life because she doesn't care that I'm recording. She's like, Mom, I don't yes, it's okay. I have really gained clarity on how I want to approach the international piece with my business. I've gained a lot of clarity on my health. Most recently, I've started some training in breath work because I had some health issues to go on. And basically, my doctor was like, listen, your neck is about 80 years old. And if you don't get active and get it together, you're going to be either have to have surgery or you're going to be walking like this. I said, okay. I like to dance. I like to move and groove. So let me get it all together. So I really I put me in my front seat. Okay. So I'm now the front seat driver to my life. And that has really set the precedent for business working well, because first of all, I'm taking care of myself first, taking care of family, out of that overflow. So I'm taking care of me. They get the overflow business, and it's not just work for me anymore. So that has really changed a lot in my life. And so that's why I would say what I've been doing a lot of this time has been really doing less or no things that nothing that I don't want to do besides laundry. It is what it is. So, but for the most part, just really taking a chance on me and putting me on my calendar. And that has literally changed my life in a major way. So that's what will be the biggest changes.
Thank you for sharing. Carmel, what you been up to first before we go to Carmel? True story, right before we actually went on live or actually recorded the actual podcast, we were getting set up and stuff. And so Carmel is representing the GOAT. Let's go and see it, Carmel.
Bam.
Serena Williams. Look at that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is actually a week after Serena's career has come to an end. Makes me sad. So many Serena stories. I love Serena Williams. I've always have been a fan. So many Wimbledons, US Opens, Australian Opens. Serena Williams is the reason why I watch the US Open every year. And so there's also a rumor that Nadal might be retiring, which makes me sad because I love the bull. I mean, watching, those two play year in, year out has just been a pleasure and stuff. But, Serena's done so much for not only the sport, but for women everywhere, regardless of color and stuff. And to me, she is, I put a Facebook post saying that she is one of the greatest athletes of all time, bar none, male or female, in my opinion. So, but anyways, so that really made me happy seeing that shirt. But go ahead, Queen Carmel, what you been up to over these last 7 or 8 months?
Well, these past 7 or 8 months have been great. I actually have a lot in common with Devon, this year. I mean, I am so on the same page with you, Devon, because I mean, this year I have also decided what I don't want to do anymore, and as you start to evolve and grow as a business owner, you have to work smarter rather than harder. And I too take more time off than ever. I've been self-employed for about a decade now. And, I have basically always worked really hard. And now getting rid of things that are causing me to have to work like excessive extreme hours that have excessive overhead and things like that, I've kind of gotten rid of and really focus on the things that have more momentum. So I've been following the path of least resistance and kind of going with the momentum and working smarter rather than harder this year. So, I mean, and self-care has just been at an all-time high for me this year, Devin, like you. So I was so proud of myself. My biggest accomplishment in August of 2022 was I had 2 massages in the same month. I usually, like, getting one is usually an accomplishment, but I literally had 2 in August. So I was really proud of that. And I don't work weekends. I never really have. So, I've kind of always stuck to my guns on that. But, there were a lot of times when I was working 10 to 12-hour days, like on a regular basis. And so I don't do that. I probably really work 3 hard days a week, and then maybe a 4th half day. And then, I have another kind of admin day where I take care of administrative things and, I don't see clients and, make appointments if I need to, make medical appointments and such for myself and for my family members. But outside of that, I closed my gym after 8 years this past April. So yay, that it was tough to do, but it was such a good decision. And it's something that I've kind of been going back and forth with over the past couple of years, of course, with the pandemic, because with the mental health crisis, my therapy practice was growing rapidly and I had to continue adding more therapists. So that's where the need was. Whereas, with our fitness center, there was a time when we were closed and so on and so forth. And so that was kind of, the numbers were going down. So anyway, I had my attention, once again, going with the path of least resistance, going with the momentum. So that was that. And so saved a lot of money by doing that as well. Not to mention, this is the biggest thing for me in 2022, for the very first time since I've been working for myself, I am 100% virtual. I have always been brick and mortar before the pandemic, and I still kept a brick and mortar space up until April of 2022. And so as of May 1st of 2022, I am 100% telehealth with my therapy practice. And it was the best decision I've ever made in business. And the reason for that is my overhead is lower than it's ever been, and I'm able to reach more people. I have half of my clients live like 4 and 5 hours from here because I'm licensed throughout for the whole state. So I have clients from Chicago on down. When I was brick and mortar, I served people locally only. So that was a huge move. I have people from Nigeria. I have people from, Haiti. I have people from India. And a couple of other countries that England, I have people from England. So I have a couple of British clients. So, I mean, it's really, really been a game changer for me going to telehealth. And, so I've also been taking more coaching clients as well, because since I'm only licensed for therapy in Illinois, people that I see outside of Illinois, I do more coaching with them than I do therapy. So my coaching component has also grown. So outside of that, the Marriage Task Force, which is a leg of my business is six components: mental health, fitness and nutrition, interpersonal relationships, business and career, self-esteem and confidence, and self-care. Marriage Task Force is a part of that interpersonal relationships component. So we launched Sexcellence, which is a clothing line for married women. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on another episode. So I've been really busy this year, busy but not busy, if that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And
That's
also,
awesome.
yes, it's awesome indeed. And also, aren't you the president or something?
Oh,
No?
yeah, I forgot about that.
Ma'am?
Oh, yeah. That. So I did take on the role of president of the Illinois Counseling Association's Lewis and Clark chapter this year as well. So that's been a great experience too.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's really nice to see, listen to both of y'all about what has happened in the last 7-8 months, since we last did a podcast episode. It really just kind of shows, how reflective time can be, that you think that when you're going through something right away, that there will be a brighter day, there will be changes, or you would have to pivot. So for myself personally, I launched a clothing line, Mahogany Legacy. It's the Mahogany Legacy collection. It's actually on my website, and also the website, mahoganylegacy.com. I also have some online courses that are tied into my personal website as well. I've been doing some training and consulting and project management because I'm a certified PMP trainer. I did the Indiana Black Expo. I thought that was a great experience. Hopefully we'll be able to nail down some of the guests to be able to participate on the show. Everyone from artists to vendors who sold books. It was really a great experience. Been to Jamaica to celebrate life, right? And then also I went to the NCAA championship game to see my North Carolina Tar Heels. Wound up getting a ticket at the last second. That was really adventurous to get there, but me, nothing's never in a straight line, but I get there. But also too, I also have, for those who don't know, I actually have real estate interests. I'm actually dealing with a significant issue right now, and hopefully as things kind of settle down, I can speak a little bit more open and freely about it. But because of the situation, I can't really go into too much detail about that publicly. But those things actually really made me see things in a different light. And, we're talking about how life has changed with you, Carmel, going from a brick and mortar all these years to be online. A couple of years ago, it was November of 19, I lost my job, had a corporate job, I was doing pretty well. And I remember, and I still remember just that drive home and just trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And then I just got on this magical run. Everything started clicking, everything started flowing. Like I just couldn't lose. And so, I hit my first real scary speed bump, not too long ago. And so Carmel and Devon, both of y'all have been really helpful and, being able to bounce some of my issues or some of my thoughts or even some of my concerns off of. And so I learned a lot about support systems and structures, right? And so the other thing too is that boundaries, like people like to set boundaries and stuff, but I think that I think boundaries is too cliche. I think there are times when you should be able to set boundaries. And then I think there's times and stuff where people are just, they don't want to deal with problems head on. And I think that when you don't deal with problems head on, creates more conflict. So for me, I'm a little bit more, I'm not going to say confrontational, but I will confront an issue. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned about myself. I'm not a passive person by nature, but I do know that it's better to address the situation than let it fester, because running from the problem is not going to solve it. Putting your head in the sand is not going to solve it. And praying it away is not going to solve it. So, there has to be action. And so sometimes we got to face these uncomfortable truths to be able to overcome them. So again, very thankful for my support system for being able to do that. And also naps. I still take naps. Matter of fact, I took a great nap today. It was like 45 minutes.
He's the king of naps.
I'm the king of naps. Look, I nap so long because if you ever look at any of my pictures, I always have my Fitbit with me, right? So I don't know, I'm a numbers guy. So I'll always look to see how my heart rate's going and certain things and whatnot. And so I also look at the data for like a sleep, because I regularly go to the doctor. I have, a couple of health things, that I kind of stay on top of. But I've napped so long today that Fitbit registered as sleep. It was deep sleep. I mean, it was a great nap.
I'm working on it. I am really working on those naps. Yesterday
EMG,
I was
it will change your
constipated.
life. I'm telling you.
I'm working on them.
I'm
Only
telling you.
time I can kind of take a nap is if the TV is on. Like I have to go to sleep, like watching TV or something,
Oh,
like in the
no.
middle of doing something.
I don't know why I do struggle with taking naps during the day, but I have gotten better. Hey, I was just thinking, guys, we need like a nap challenge. You know how people are always doing fitness challenges? We should do like a nap challenge.
I'll
I
probably
like
be in the
that.
leaderboard.
I think, yeah, you got an unfair advantage. So look,
I do, because I've been doing it for so long. I mean, you know what? I've napped so long that I actually even put it as a LinkedIn stat. I don't know if it's going to affect any business or anything like that and stuff, but I told people, I was like, man, I think I read something. It was a study about naps. It was something by one of these sleep journals where they talk about the benefits of taking a nap. And really, it is a benefit. So, like, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how active and engaged you are, but when you're taking a nap, not only are you getting restorative sleep, but it also kind of refreshes your mind to engage whatever. And so for the three of us, we're always doing something, sun up to sundown, one way or another, or our mind is always thinking. But yeah, my peak nap hours are between 2:30 to 4 o'clock, and I nap so much that Carmel will even sit there and leave a message like, I think you might be taking a nap. For real, she'll sit there. I mean, I've actually got messages and stuff too, like, or she'll say, well, I know that you're about to go into your nap hour and stuff. I mean, so yeah, my naps are notorious too. So Devon, you'll get there and it'll change your life.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I was there. I had a couple like short naps yesterday. I was on the couch. I watched TV for like 6 hours, y'all.
Wow.
I was binge watching TV. I did. I was watching BET Plus, watching some shows on BET Plus, and they were funny. Like some of the Tyler Perry shows and some other, the Black Hamptons, and some of like the shows, they were good.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep in between. My girls, I think I still got some jewelry in my head. I had barrettes in my head. My girls were, there we go. So my kids were doing my hair. I was just like,
well, we're going to set a new standard for business owners because, in this society, people are just celebrating burnout. And we've all experienced it before in our careers as business owners. Let's just be honest. We've all been there. And it doesn't feel good. It's not healthy. It's not productive. And so, we really do need to revisit just as a society about what we should be doing throughout our day. And you can only get so much work done within a day. Your brain can only focus so much. So, taking those naps and taking a load off, or going out and meeting up with somebody for lunch, playing with your kids in the middle of the day, or whatever it is that breaks up the monotony of your day, we should certainly be doing those things.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, and the reason why I used to take naps was because when I was going to school, I had to do my school at nighttime. And so normally it would be, like usually about 7 or 8, that's when my mind will kind of start firing back up. And so those naps were really helpful and stuff, just to kind of quiet it. And I said, even if you don't take a nap, at least lay still for a while. It's almost like meditation. And for me, I can't sleep with a TV. So, I mean, I'm the type of brother, man, look, I'll sit there, I'll go in the room. I mean, I'm stripping down, rolling up in the blanket, fan blowing on my face. I'll take a nap.
He's got a problem.
Oh yeah, you are a professional napper. Like,
I mean, I am.
I think you have something going here. Have you guys heard of the professional huggers? Have you heard of that? Yeah. I think we should add that. Like somebody needs to put that down in the book somewhere, right?
And you could teach people that. Like, and you know what? That's another reason that I finally said, okay, let me go deeper with this breath work. Because I just know that when I started, I'm also taking up yoga, and I started playing tennis. I'm not playing. Like I'm really taking time and to do things that I like, and I'm unapologetic about it because I always put everybody first. I always have, and I'm not even going to they're still going to do what they do, but I'm going to do what I need to do for me as well. So, but the breath work really, like, it has kind of, and I'm at the beginning. the very beginning stages, even before looking at like formal training, just kind of doing it for myself. But that reset, even like if people can't get a full nap every day, like just taking that time to stop. And I know, you know, just taking that time to stop and breathe, and that reset and slowing my mind down,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
refreshed for the next meeting,
Yep.
for the next, you know, and even refreshing for to have fun, to enjoy things, because you know we'll go from task to task, because I'm going running from a meeting to start my kid pickups, and then it's how was your day, and you know, it's still back into that flow, and then it's violin, and my son is driving now.
Ah,
Yeah,
Whew.
that's
So
totally
I'm
different.
I know
good.
what that's like.
Yeah, it's been good because he's volunteering for everything. Oh my, I'll take her. And I was like, okay, because I was like, okay, I get to sit here. Okay. I did my Instacart, I pick up the groceries. I said, okay. So I'm not even asking him to do a lot of things at all, because he started working and everything. And he cashed out me some money too from his first
Oh,
paycheck.
I am so jealous. My son is 18. I don't think he's ever cashed out me, but he's always asking me to send him some money.
Yeah, my baby cashed at me $100. He got his
I
first
need
paycheck
your
on
son to
Friday.
talk to my son. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell him. He sure did. He sent me $100. I was like, oh.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
yeah, of course, you know, I've been filling up the tank so he can go to work, but still, I wasn't even, you know, tripping out off of it. But so that made me feel good. But yeah, that just taking that time to breathe and reset, it's like that. I mean, like a meditation and a reset of your thinking, and you just feel refreshed. And oftentimes when I'm doing meditation, I fall asleep anyway.
You can
Yeah.
definitely
So
go into a deep sleep, but you know, Dr. T doesn't need that, you know, because he doesn't have any trouble falling into
at
that deep
all.
sleep. But yeah, like progressive muscle relaxation and body scans and circular breathing and all of that is really, really helpful with regards to just slowing down the heart rate, getting enough oxygen to the brain so that you can focus and concentrate and relax, and just like Devon said, just reset. But breath work is certainly it's life-changing when you learn how to do it. And then you also realize the extent to which you've been engaging in shallow breathing. And you
Yeah.
know,
That's the thing. It's like we literally have been around here like
yeah, like
and
the
we
little
have like
engine that could.
right, like we have these lungs that are full and capable of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
I've never fully, like, until you think about it, we don't really even
Mm-hmm.
fully empty our lungs.
Nope.
Like we haven't even got all the bad air out, you know, like
Nope.
even to inhale and to be, it's so crazy just learning those things that seem so simple. Like I know how to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
you would
Yeah.
think you would.
Most of us do not. And you have to
Right.
be intentional about it. I like to do it like just out in nature, even like this morning
Mm,
I went out for a walk, and I usually try to do that at least a few times a week, where you know I use all five of my senses while I'm out to engage
Yeah.
in
right.
breath work. And you know, so as I'm breathing deeply, I'll try and find like five things that I can see that I wouldn't typically notice. So you know, you engage in that mindfulness. And then I'll look
Right.
for four things that I can hear, usually things from afar. You know, sometimes I can hear traffic from afar.
Mm,
Sometimes I may be able to hear a lawnmower, you know, from, you know, somewhere, you know, not right by me, but afar. Maybe I'll hear bugs buzzing. I might hear, you know, crickets or whatever. And, you know, I might hear water. I might hear birds chirping. So
mhm,
whatever it is that that I can hear, and then I'll use, of course, the sense of you know, touch. So I'll stop and touch a few things, you know, maybe a
mhm,
few leaves, that type of thing. The only sense that it's really hard to use when you're out in nature is your sense of taste, of
mhm.
course, because unless you have something in your pocket that you can kind of pop in your mouth, like a piece of candy or something. But
Definitely don't want to taste any bugs.
no, no, don't want to do that.
No.
So,
No.
but yeah, no, five senses and breathing in nature is certainly very relaxing.
Yes, and that's actually pretty good that we're all talking about this, because really that was the entire scope of this particular episode, is how to deal with adversity, because and burnout. So we're talking about
Mhm.
things that actually happen, and it doesn't matter if you're a business owner, it doesn't matter if you are a single parent, it don't matter if you're married, it doesn't matter if you got a 9 to 5. I mean, the reality is that we are constantly bombarded with images, sounds, um, interactions and things like that
Yeah.
that winds up becoming so much a detriment to ourselves and a detriment to our health. Not so much where it's destructive, but it can really throw us off balance, and it kind of really gets us out of sync and stuff. So like how you talked about, your walks and everything like that. I started doing trails before it started getting super hot as hell in St. Louis. So I was actually going on the trails. I actually had an app, I think it's called All Trails. And I think I told you about it, Queen Carmel, that I had looked at several, I started doing several different trails. And I think I did like maybe 5 or 6. And then it got super hot. And then after that, I was just kind of, yeah. But walking is something that I do regularly. So calls, when you're dealing with negative energy, on calls, one of the things that I like to do is, 2 things I like to do. One is not respond to emotional text messages. So I think that I try not to respond to emotional text messages, because I think that everybody reads and interpret things differently. So what you can say in a text message, and especially the phraseology of your words, can be misinterpreted. So, take a step back from your messages sometimes, and allow yourself to breathe or to respond to certain things instead of responding immediately. Because of social media, because of our daily interactions, we're almost prompted to respond to everything immediately. Or then if we're emotionally involved in something, we want an immediate response. And it just doesn't work that way. Things don't happen on our time all the time. The other thing too, that I think is very important for us to realize is just, self-awareness. I think that's something that really, Carmel, I've talked to you about that several times and stuff, but, I think that over the summer, I've become more self-aware. Self-actualization really is a big deal. So, when you're going through things, when you feel like it's burnout and stuff, it's easy to say that you're burning out, but sometimes you have to look at, well, why are you burning out? And the question of why are you burning out has a key word, you. So, I think that this particular podcast will be helpful as we took the break and reflect on what we did 2 months ago or several months ago to today, saying what can we do to be able to take that step back, so we can be able to re-engage, recharge, and refresh. So another thing that I like to do as we go around the room is the do not disturb function on my phone. I didn't use it as much, but when I'm interacting with people, I try not to be on the phone as much, right? Facebook notifications or social media notifications, they're off. The only time I go on my social media notifications if I actually click the button itself. Because I realized that when you see all these notifications or numbers, you're prompted to go check those things. Emails are a little bit different but I go through emails at a particular time of the day. So time management makes a big difference in naps. I love my naps. So what are some of the strategies that you would recommend when you feel like things are getting haywired, Devon?
Well, I walk too. I guess we all like walking. I like to walk during the day, but I walk more at night. So I literally go out, it's late at night. They're like, "You leaving out?" I leave out late at night. So the only thing I see is raccoons and you know, something just like out, and I'm like rattling. I just like walking in the night and looking in the moonlight. So I probably walk like 30 minutes at night, do a little jog in my neighborhood. To kind of reset. And for me, I love dance. That's a stress reliever for me. I'll even dance while I'm walking. If I turn on the right music, it don't matter. I'm dancing while I'm going down the street. I know at this point some of my neighbors have see me because sometimes I have headphones on, sometimes I don't. So you hear the music. But to dance and escape, those are some things I use to just kind of reset. Depending on if I'm aggravated, irritated, I'm gonna journal. And or type out a message that I would type that I want to send, but I'm not going to send, but I still got to type it out. So type them out.
Sorry for making you mad.
Put all those little words in there. But now I don't type it in the I don't type it in the message because you can accidentally send it. So you just type it in the notes.
Don't tell me you did that before.
I have as well.
Yeah. I did it before too.
I was typing it out so I can erase it, but you get to typing and stuff happens. So but yeah. And
use that old damn moment. It's like
like you type that long message and then how do you explain that? Oh, I didn't mean to send you that.
Well, I didn't mean to be exactly that. Well, I think anytime you see words that don't even sentences don't make sense, they're pissed off and they can't get the thoughts together. That's the way I look at it. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so all those things. And I am not one, I don't like conflict, so to speak. But if somebody starts it, I can finish it.
Sure.
I can definitely do that. But so I do like to go ahead and just address things so that we can move on or not, or move on in however way we need to move on. If I'm feeling uneasy about a certain situation or person or something that I can't control by myself, that's something to think about. But yeah, I like to move, release, to dance, to kind of escape, to just relieve tension. Those are some things that I know I do. Just to stay sane and to breathe and reset.
Absolutely. And Carmel, I know that you are a self-care specialist. I know that we've talked about this many a times in our previous podcast, which is why I wanted to bring you up second. So what would be some of the self-care regulation strategies that you would recommend for people, regardless of their, position, title, or, business interests or personal interests?
Well, the truth is you're going to need something different depending on the circumstances. I have an entire arsenal of things that I utilize personally and that I recommend, because there are some days when I need to sit still and read a book or listen to music. I need to put my AirPods in and I need to be in a little space by myself and relax that way and kind of reset and really remove myself from whatever it is externally that's going on. So it's a way of going inward. And sometimes it's not AirPods, it's not soothing music. Sometimes it's, I need to pick me up. So it's Bluetooth to the speaker and it's loud music and it's more upbeat music with a, more upbeat tempo and, to kind of get you going. And then sometimes it's not music. There are days when you just need silence. And sometimes it's reading a book, and if I am tired and it's been a long day, or maybe I have a lot on my plate for that day, and I don't want to spend that extra energy actually reading the words, I use audiobooks quite a bit. So yeah, I love audiobooks. It's amazing. And so I'll listen to that, and you can actually lay down, put your AirPods in, listen to the book. I also listen to it in my car sometimes. And speaking of car, that is another one of my strategies. There are times when I just want to get in my car. Driving is a form of mindfulness as well.
Oh, absolutely.
It really does take your mind off of whatever it is that's kind of distressing, because you have to focus on what you're doing. To some degree, you can kind of zone out, but you do have to pay attention. But if you need to think, it's also a place where you can think clearly as well without distractions. Devon, you mentioned the one of you guys, that was you, Terrence, that mentioned the phone and the notifications.
Yes.
I have a confession to make. Probably 350 days out of the year, my phone is on silent. I hardly ever turn my ringer on. Like I never hear my notifications. The only time I know that somebody's calling me or texting me is if I'm looking down at my phone.
Oh, wow.
I never have my phone.
I need to try to do that.
So, and my phone's usually pretty close by, but the only time I turn it on is if I'm waiting for an important call, or if one of my kids are out somewhere doing something and I know that, it's a time where I need to make sure that I'm aware, like I'm waiting on them to call, or, they're out at night or something like that. My kids are older. So yeah, but outside of that, I love fitness, so working out, whether it's hiking, whether it's weight training, or, whatever, or just walking. I bought myself a new bike. So, I've been like the self-care guru this year. I bought myself a new bike back in April. I had been wanting one of those Trek bikes for the past couple of years. So I finally got one. I was like, I don't do the whole big investment thing without long-term thinking. And so I finally just did it for my birthday this year. So that's been a great investment for me as well.
That's so good.
Hey, that is awesome. Yeah, driving as a form of mindfulness is very helpful for myself too, because there's, I know when I used to travel a lot for my last corporate job, I actually enjoyed the traveling part. I mean, after a while, it would get kind of tiring and stuff, and then depending on where I was staying, but yeah, the actual drive itself wasn't bad. You get in the car, it's almost like you move at your own rhythm, at your own pace. Like I said, you can listen to music, you can talk on the phone, you can just listen to podcasts. or you can just sit there and sit in silence. I
Yep.
think that's a good place just to be. I see you holding up for journaling and everything. I mean, I think it's a good place for peace. And I think that another thing for those who feel burnt out or even overloaded, try to work on organizational skills. I think I know people who are very chaotic with their lives, and I think a lot of it is through lack of organization. You can't live in chaos in perpetuity, because if you continue to live in chaos, then you're going to continue to, be triggered, right? I think that's my opinion. But I think that if you do live in chaos, I think it's hard for you to get organized. It's hard for you to stay on one subject. I think it's hard for you to stay focused. I think it's chaos also affects your relationships. So
Absolutely.
I think that if you're, like, I know some people kind of get on me at times and stuff about how particular I am with my time, but the thing is that I'm not with one individual 24/7 a day. Nobody is with one person 24/7 a day. And so we have our other obligations and whatnot, and we have to make sure that, I mean, I think it's very optimal for us to make sure that we are bunching our time out. It's not really blocking. I know blocking became a little popular and stuff, but then that winds up being stressful. But just saying, okay, here are the things that I need to do. It's almost like a form of journaling. But every week, I will find out what's going on for those that are involved in my world, whether it's a business or personal relationships. I need to figure out what's happening ahead of time, and I will block those things out. So even like if I say, hey, Carmel calls me up tomorrow and say, hey, T, you want to do lunch? If that schedule for this week is not already made out, there's nothing else going on the schedule. That's my set rule. Because what would happen is that I would have that week, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can put this slot. Oh, I can take this time. And then next when I had it really everything balanced, it winds up being either too front loaded, too back loaded, or just the whole week is just lit up. And then all of a sudden, I burn myself out. I start becoming more tired, start becoming more irritable and stuff. So, if you are listening to this podcast, excuse me, and for those who do know me personally and know these ladies personally, we do have a lot of stuff going on, but the emphasis is that, yes, there's nothing wrong taking a break. There's nothing wrong doing for yourself.
Right.
And there's just nothing wrong from just stepping away momentarily, because those problems, a lot of those problems, they're going to be there. I mean, obviously, unless you got to catch a plane, pick up your kid, or you have an appointment. But, outside of that, some of the other stuff, like if you can't if you can go to the store on a Wednesday morning and you have to go on a Thursday evening, so be it. Don't let that throw you out of whack. Allow yourself some flexibility and stuff, because then you allow your life to kind of have more of an equal flow. So what are your, I guess, Carmel, what are your thoughts on that particular comment?
I 100% agree with you. Structure and organization is very important, because if you're going to be productive and focused, you certainly have to have structure and the power of no. You have to be able to say no. When your schedule is full, it's full, and some of us find ourselves always adding things onto a full schedule, and that can certainly contribute to a lot of chaos. And so we have to make sure that we are honest with ourselves about what the true picture is with regards to our day and our week. And it's okay to tell people not today, or not this week, but maybe next week. And most people that want to work with you, want to meet with you, or whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish with you, they'll wait until next week if they see that your time is valuable. If they don't value your time, then they probably aren't the person you need to put on your schedule anyway.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Devon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's so funny that we talk about our schedules, because of course I live by this schedule and this phone, and yeah, that's how I kind of keep things together. But
Sure.
when I think about putting me on my schedule and what I put on my schedule is very important. Like, and each and every one of our time is precious, and to make sure that we're rationing it out and that we're not over giving too much accessibility. I was guilty of that for a very long time, giving way too much access to the wrong people, because
Yes.
oh, okay, and then it's like, then it becomes draining, and then you become resentful, but you're the one who did it in the first place, so you can't be mad at
Yes.
nobody but yourself.
No, that's
So it's
true.
just kind of like that, and then you're stressed out about things that you could have said no to, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And so it's like, okay, how many times are we going to do that until we finally say, no, not today, or yeah, you can maybe meet me at this event or something like that, because we all know at this point, like I said, we're all seasoned in this, so we know who's there to, add, if it's a mutually beneficial relationship. If it's something where you're just supposed to pour and move on, that's fine. We have those things as well, but it's something that you're called to. But you can't be called to any and everybody. Then you are tired, you're exhausted, you're burnt out,
Yes.
and resentful over things that you actually had the power to control. So
Yes.
we ultimately have to just take our power back so that we can create the lives that we want to have, that balance of, because there's no true balance, no equal balance, but we want to
Yes.
be as even in our lives, because we control that. We control it. So
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I wanted to, I always have a phrase or a philosophy or a thought somewhere, but one of the things I've said throughout this year is that in order to maintain control, sometimes we got to relinquish control. And
mm-hmm.
it really means that we can still be able to control ourselves, but we don't have to micromanage. We don't have to take a hold of every single thing. Now, if you want to see a particular task through, whatever the case may be, that might be your type of personality, but the thing is that you have to trust in others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also you have to be willing to let go in a lot of ways. And you also have to learn how to forgive. I think letting go and forgiving others, or even just forgiving the outcome of some of the situations, I think that makes a big difference. When you look at, for those who understand baseball, Albert Pujols is about to retire. And so he's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best baseball players of all time, based on his records and accolades and everything like that. But his career batting average is 300, which is considered very good. That means that 70% of the time he's going to get out. You know what I mean? Serena Williams. I'm just looking at the shirt again, Carmel. Serena Williams. She has what, like a 20-something percent, ace rate. That means that 73% of the time she's not good at her aces. So that means that, if you really look at it from, you don't have to be an analytical person, but if you look at just life in general, there's just a lot of things that you're not going to control to perfection. You can strive for perfection, but you have to also understand that you will never be perfect. Meaning that if you're striving for perfection, that means that you're going to make those adjustments. You're going to try to be better. You're going to learn from the mistakes. You know that you're going to make mistakes. You know you're going to say the wrong things. You know you're going to probably react to something the way that you probably don't prefer when you look back in hindsight. But really, it's all about how can you build upon that, right, to be better. So if you find yourself more burning out about the way that you're trying to study for school, try to find a different approach. Change it up a little bit. If you feel like you're struggling with weight, or your health, or whatever the case may be, seek a different strategy out. Because the thing is, there's experts, there's other people who are there to help you out in so many different ways. But one of the worst things I think one of the things that really contribute to burnout, especially in this country, is that we feel like, again, I made the comment earlier, that we feel like that, we do a lot of cliche type things and stuff where we use words like boundaries, narcissism. We use, all these little, I've been reading a lot about just these euphemisms that we're using, these words, and that it really, we take it and we don't understand what it means. So then we wind up incorporating something that we don't understand, and then we wind up doing more harm to ourselves than we do good. And so everybody quit their job, and now they're regretting quitting a job nowadays. All these people who wanted to sit and collect unemployment, during a pandemic, or take this chance and do stuff like that, they're regretting these decisions. You don't have to be like everybody. Just try to be the best version of yourself possible. You don't have to compete against the world. You don't have to compete against Carmel. You don't have to compete against me or Devon or Butler or anybody. Just try to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, certainly. You said some very valuable things right there, Dr. Duncan. We live in a society right now where people are just following. Following is now popular. We grew up, guys. What did our parents tell us about following?
Be a leader. Don't be a follower.
Our parents told us, don't be a follower. I mean, that was like
Absolutely.
rule number one, and now people are looking for followers, people are following, and viral, trending, those are popular words now. And so that individuality is so gone, so far gone. And I don't know about you guys, but I take breaks from social media In fact, here recently, just lately, I haven't been on there very much. I've been just getting on there every now and then, mostly posting family stuff. But every now and then you have to remove yourself from that because it is very unhealthy, for our society in so many ways. And I'll give you one example. There was a Minions movie that came out this year, and I saw a advertisement on the Today Show where they talked about, on Instagram, they talked about there were kids all over the country showing up at movie theaters in black suits, like black, blazers and suits and such. And it was cute. It was super adorable, right? But it just shows how easily programmed we are and easily conditioned we are as a society. When something is big or everybody else is doing it, it's trending, it's viral all over our nation. And it's not just kids, it's adults as well. And so, that's kind of scary that, all we have to see is, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of people going in this direction. And then all of a sudden we want to do it. So that's something we need to be very careful about.
I agree. Devon?
I would say so, especially in this age or with my children, with watching them, it's like allowing them to have the freedom to look at certain things, but also watching them to make sure they're not trying to mimic everything, like TikTok. So I just got on TikTok to try to see something with business. So guess what? I downloaded I made a whole Facebook post, downloaded it, and I ain't been back on it yet. I had followers and everything when I popped up. Okay, because people see their contacts or whatever, and I said, well, we'll see what I can do with this TikTok. But just thinking about the dangers around like social media, it's like I'm not in danger of anything on social media. Besides, they have so many privacy things going on. So I try to post later, not let people know where you are too many times. But when I think about people following or the youth following, everything looks so easy. Everything is great. And if it doesn't show up on Instagram in a certain way, people are really the younger people. I'm not going to say that older people are not. I'll say 30 plus aren't or 40 plus aren't. But that 25 and under, they really are that group that is chasing the viral thing. As far
I've seen
as
the older people a lot more now too. I don't know about you, Devin. Are you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I do see that more. And knowing that likes doesn't, if your likes don't translate to dollars, is useless. If it doesn't translate to dollars, who cares? Because it talk about all these people they can have 100,000, 500,000 followers, and they living in a studio apartment with a mattress on the floor, but living it up, traveling, making it seem like they're living this glamorous life. It's so important just to know who you are. When I was talking to somebody about this workshop on helping people to create the right relationships, before you can really create the right relationships with other people, you got to know who you are. And so it takes it back to the root of, who are you? What do you feel you have to offer others? What do you offer yourself? How can you be of value to others, not to just take? And until you know those things, it's kind of difficult to, as we live in a society where everyone else is just out trying to take. It's not trendy to give and to be a giver, so to speak. It's all about the next best thing or being trendy. So it really goes back to people knowing who they are, to see if they, you shouldn't have to follow. It's okay to find out what's new and hot, life hacks. I don't mind finding out something, to make my life easier, that's fine. But don't define yourself by what's out there, on social media, because even my group of friends, we're all totally different. We have some things that are similar, but we're all different, and we all bring different things to the table. And so people should be excited to share what's unique about them and to share what's authentic about them. But it's only until you're comfortable with who you are that you can do that.
And social media perpetuates that whole perfectionism thing that Dr. Duncan was talking about earlier too. Perfectionistic tendencies can be very harmful to your mental health. And perfection is just not possible. It's simply isn't. But some people don't realize that that's what they're striving for. And some people are losing sleep. They are ruining relationships and
Yes.
opportunities and such, striving for some unrealistic goal that they're trying to achieve. And social media certainly feeds into that. And I mean, I've seen some pretty disastrous situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just, and also in concluding thoughts too and stuff, I mean, just know who you're sacrificing, what are you sacrificing yourself for? When you're doing these influencer videos and things like that. And, I know some people are able to do it and do it well and things like that. I don't know personally, but yes, I think a lot of times, you have these people and you have a whole bunch of children who are actually seeing this. And, it allows, not only just the adults, but it definitely allows the children to be manipulated by what they see, and they live in this distorted reality that's not going to be sustainable. So, if the children are watching things about, people getting slapped around or acting a fool, doing this and that, then they feel like that's an acceptable behavior, and it takes away some of the parenting that we may necessarily have and stuff. So you look at, and I don't know if there's a research connection between it and stuff, but I'm pretty sure there is that, because of we've been 10 years, over a decade with Facebook and then just, YouTube and other things, and just the content that's provided on it. I mean, we have seen from January 6th, we have seen from Black Lives Matter, we have seen from ice bucket challenges and things like that. I mean, everything from the craziest to the most sane stuff, just how people have just get so wrapped up and it has these followings and stuff. And Devon, you made a comment about it. It's about Big Brother, so you having a lot of people just doing data analysis and stuff, and they can be able to pinpoint your weakness. And if you feel like that you're getting away from the algorithm, from the system, the fact that you're in this system means that you're also being monitored in some shape or capacity. And so, some of the things that I'll be doing in the near future is, like I told Carmel, there's some activities that just for the safety of me and mine, I just got to pull back from. I have to, be very mindful of what I say, how I engage, and what I do on and off camera and stuff, or social media and stuff, because of the fact that, now we have a society that started attacking people just because they don't have a similar belief or whatever the case may be and stuff. And so you can say, well, I don't need to change for anybody. Well, unfortunately, people are getting stabbed. They're not even shooting, they're stabbing, they're running people over with cars and all types of other stuff. So we are becoming a more violent society and stuff. So I think that social media does have a large influence into it. But I think also too is just our ability to be manipulated by the actions of others also do it well, because like Carmel said a couple minutes ago, we're becoming more followers than leaders, and it's okay to be a leader, even if you're just a leader amongst 2 or a leader amongst 20. So, with that said, I do want to wrap it up. We are going to start having shorter podcasts. So we're not going to have the 2-hour versions and stuff like we used to, because I know we can all chat. But it is great to be able to get back on a podcast. I think it's very therapeutic in a lot of ways. And I think it's also good for us just to come together, meet in the minds, very talented individuals from different experiences, but we're all from the same cloth. We just want people to succeed. We want to see people win, and we want people to be healthy. I think that's something that is the underlying theme for this particular episode, and even episodes past. We just want people to see life on the inside, right? We all have our families, we all have our friends, we all have our businesses, we all have our social life, we all have our private life, but we're just regular individuals like like the individual who may be listening to the show. And we just want to hopefully be able to provide some different techniques and just different perspectives on how to change, some elements of your life around, or just for those who want to grow as a business. So this is more than just a business podcast, and more than a relationship podcast. We want to bring a mix of everything. So concluding thoughts, we'll start off with Carmel, concluding thoughts, and then we'll go with Devon, and then we'll sign off.
Sure. Well, my concluding thoughts are: make sure that you take care of yourself, and make sure that you have a healthy relationship with yourself. Like Devon said earlier, you cannot be a successful business owner. You cannot have successful and healthy relationships with other people if you're not having a healthy relationship with yourself. And then make sure that self-care is a priority. And remember that self-care looks different for everyone. What makes you feel like you're taking care of yourself may not necessarily look the same as other people. One of the other things I failed to mention earlier is aromatherapy. That's also a really big part of my self-care regimen. So I also encourage that. And then another thing in addition to sleep is remain hydrated. Very, very
Look at the
important.
blink cup.
Yeah, you guys will
So
always
cute. I said, yeah, it's
That
super
must
cute.
sparkled on Zoom and everything. I'm like,
yeah.
Right.
Oh man, you will always see me hydrating no matter where I
yes.
am. I always have water with me. You know, hydration is really important for brain function. If you've ever seen someone that's dehydrated, they're very lethargic. They're having a hard time concentrating and focusing and such. So hydration is just as important as sleeping, eating healthy, being active and such. So just take care of
Yes,
yourself.
absolutely.
Hold on, Devin, before you start, the chair is not there, but we do have the Queen's Cup. Sort of the Queen's Cup. There it is. Season 4, Queen's Cup. Go ahead.
Right. No, everything that you said. So everything that you said, and I realized it wasn't until probably after I had my last daughter that I realized I actually was dehydrated very often because I was lightheaded. I didn't realize that I was lightheaded. I'm just kind of pushing through, and I would eventually get something to drink, but I was dehydrated a lot of times. So when I'm going to the doctor, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we got to get you some fluids." I'm like, "What?" You know, and I wasn't even going there for them. I'm like, "No, you're dehydrated." You know, I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I started to recognize that I wasn't as hydrated. And so now I'm very intentional that I keep water in the car, in the office. I keep it everywhere. And I'm constantly staying hydrated. And now I listen to my body. So I know before I'm like really dehydrated, I can tell that it's about that time, like between your nose feeling dry. It's like so many triggers, like your nose feeling dry.
Your mouth is dry. Sometimes your
Yeah,
back hurts a little bit. Even.
yeah, and for me, being lightheaded, I would get lightheaded, and that's when it was really like, okay, girl, you tripping. And so staying hydrated, and like you said, it looks different for everybody, and then giving yourself grace to know that you're not gonna have like the best routine right off the bat. You have to start with something. And so for me, it was my walks. It was like me just kind of racing against my watch, to try to get something in. And then after that, I started closing my rings. So I had to move it up, from 20 to 25 or whatever. So I had to challenge myself. And it went from, try to do something 3 times a day. And so me doing something every day is self-care because I like to dance. I like to move, and I don't want to feel like I'm 80 when I'm 50. You know what I mean? And so that was all the motivation that I needed from my doctor. I said, what? Okay, wait a minute. Let me get to, okay, I'm gonna do physical therapy. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to make sure that I am here and good. So start with that one thing for you, and then maybe add something else and go from there and do what works for you. So that's what I would say, because life is gonna keep lifing. It's gonna keep happening, but you have to put you on your calendar. You have to. That's my favorite saying ever. You have to put you on your calendar, just like you have all these other color-coded blocks for everything else. You have to put you on your calendar because you are most important. So
that is so true. And then one more thing to add too: try challenging yourself to get up earlier in the morning. That's one thing that I really enjoy doing. I read that from an article about healthy habits of successful people, and a lot of them said that they get up an extra hour, give themselves an hour to do them, whether it's exercise, read whatever they want, just lay in a bed, listen to music, watch TV or whatever before they start tuning to the world. And that's something I've been doing probably for like maybe a couple of years now. But it's definitely one of those things where I'm not going to answer any phone calls or emails until it's time for me to get into it. But I always do myself first. And I found myself to be more relaxed during the day and things of that nature too. So, but thanks again for those techniques and recommendations. Hopefully those who are listening are able to really be able to reflect on those. And that will conclude our first episode of the 4th season. It's glad to be back. Devon, glad to have you on board. I know you've done a couple of episodes already. And so, like I said, I've been following you on social media and also just been maintaining regular contact with you and stuff. I think you're an awesome fit and definitely part of the team. So glad to have you on board. Carmel, we've been doing this for going on 2 years now. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. I met both of them through happenstance. And so We're dope when we're by ourselves and stuff, man. We're so much better when we're together. So that's how we're growing this team. And so it's just really beautiful just to see how the Mahogany concept has grown. It's not just about the shirt or the thoughts or whatever and stuff. I think it's really about the concept of what the Mahogany legacy is. And it's just, let's continue to build and let's be able to collaborate. And then, wait until another couple of years and stuff. When you start really seeing everything coming together, it's just going to be a beautiful thing. I know it. So with that said, we'll be podcasting again in a couple of weeks. I guess to be determined, but please listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and any other worlds where they're doing podcasts, which is virtually everywhere. And so with that, you have a good night. Thank you.